This is an RNZ podcast.
Bonjour mes amis, je m'appelle Ben Strang. What a golden day it has been for New Zealand at the Olympic Games. We are off the mark. The medal tally is finally underway. We have our first gold medal, the New Zealand Sevens women taking home victory against Canada, a 19-12 win. I see it as a little bit of revenge after Spygate in the football. We finally got one up on those pesky Canadians. How good was it? Stacey Waka scoring the winning try right at the end. Gosh, it was a beautiful morning. So congratulations to the New Zealand Sevens women who have got us off the mark. What a performance from them. We're going to hear from them quite a bit today. We're going to hear from Stacey Waka and we're going to hear from the former Black Fern Kendra Coxsedge. We'll also have a look at some of the events coming up later in the games. For instance, the speed climbing. We'll talk to speed climber Sarah Tetzlaff. But yes, let's start with Stacey Waka. She scored that last try for New Zealand to really secure the final. She had a chat with Ingrid Hipkiss a couple of hours after the final on Morning Report, talking about what that win meant for the team.
Kia ora, good morning. Stacey, how are you feeling? Has it had a chance to sink in yet, this victory?
Not really. We're still at the stadium, just about to head home. My head's all over the show. I'm shook. I'm stoked. I'm happy. I'm proud. So millions of emotions running through my head, but grateful we got the win.
Yeah. Can you, when you look back now, can you remember all of the game, or is it a blur? And in particular, how did it feel to dot down that winning try to really seal the game?
Yeah, I remember bits and pieces. Obviously, I didn't start, so watching from the bench and seeing Canada get a couple of tries and then obviously Pusha unluckily getting a yellow card. I didn't feel like we were worried, though. We know if any team's going to come back from being down, we're capable of doing that in those pressure moments. And then when I got my moment on field, we were stuck down in our red zone for a little while. We just couldn't get out of there. But up stands our awesome co-cap, Sarah, obviously making the break. And I was just lucky to be there and support and be able to dot down in the corner for the win.
Yeah, she looked like she'd taken a bit of a blow to the nose, did she, earlier?
Yeah, she did. So her face was, she wasn't all there, I'm going to be honest. She was pretty sore, but, you know, that's her resilience and her mental toughness, and that's what we want from our leaders, from our captains on field. You know, you keep trucking on no matter what you're feeling. Adrenaline kicks in, and she still stood up when we needed her to, but it was an awesome team effort, and I'm super proud that we got to come away with the gold.
Tell us about your teammates, in particular Portia, Tyler, the retiring players.
Yeah, honestly, I've been with them in the team since 2014-15, and they're awesome. Their skills of the game are absolutely insane. We're going to miss them, but they're cool. The coolest thing about both of them is they're awesome humans. They're so kind, they're so humble, and I've loved being their teammate for these past 10 years that I've been there with them. What they bring to the team, the mana and the respect they hold within the girls, within the group, it's going to be missed. It definitely is, but we send them off with our blessings, and we're excited to see what their next adventure is, because they've still got it in them, really. Like, they've got to keep going.
Yeah, well, they've still got so much more to offer, don't they? Hey, tell me, what is next for you? How are you going to celebrate from here?
Yeah, we're going to go home, shower, recover up. Then we're going to meet our whānau somewhere that's planned. And, you know, they're the people who have been there for us this whole time. They've travelled all the way from New Zealand to be here so far. So we're grateful that they're here. But that's what we'll do first. And then we'll celebrate with the whole New Zealand team tomorrow at the New Zealand House. Because we are much bigger than just the New Zealand Sevens. We're part of the New Zealand team. And we love having that pride on our shoulders.
And that was Stacey Waka talking to Ingrid Hipkiss. And wasn't it great to watch? She has just this glorious smile throughout the final, Stacey Waka. A glorious smile when she crosses to score that winning try. And what a move it was with, apparently, Sarah Hidini has broken her cheekbone in that final. So took some serious damage, but it was her who led the break to get that winning try for Stacey Waka. So pretty impressive performance from the team and from Sarah Hidini. So great to hear from Stacey Waka there. We also had Barry Guy. Actually, the whole Paris team was essentially there watching the game. But Barry Guy went outside. He talked to some fans as they were leaving. And shortly after that, we managed to get former Black Fern Kendra Coxsedge up on Morning Report. And to be honest, she sounds like all of us watching this final, pretty tense, and struggled to contain her excitement.
I thought they would have. I thought they would have won by a bit more than that, actually. But Canada put up a real good fight, and no, it was a good game, real good game.
I suppose that's finals sort of footy in a way, isn't it?
It is, exactly. It sums it up. And this was a once in a lifetime experience, and something we'll never ever forget. Thank you for the girls for playing so bloody well.
Yeah, I suppose they've done pretty well over the years, haven't they? And the pressure was on?
Yeah, the pressure was definitely on. And when we gave all those penalties away and were on a try line, they did so well to score from that, changed the game. Yeah.
And a few old heads obviously help.
Definitely. And Portia Woodman, thank you very much for all you've done. And Taylor King, thank you very much, and enjoy whatever you do next.
And are you going to enjoy whatever you do next now, are you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Well, former Black Fern Kendra Coxedge was one of many watching the Sevens win New Zealand's first gold medal of the Paris Olympics. She's currently the most capped Black Fern of all time with a record of 64 matches. Kendra joins us now. Kia ora, good morning, Kendra. What kind of watcher are you? Are you sitting calmly in the lounge, or are you pacing? Are you jumping over the furniture?
I'm a bit of everything, depending on the situation of the game. Pretty relaxed this morning. I'm actually up in Auckland for work, so just in a hotel relaxing. I guess the heart rate's up. Probably still coming down a little bit actually, but I can be multiple depending on how the game is going.
So you were relaxed through the game because you obviously got off to a good start, but then fell behind, and we had the sending off as well.
Yeah, I think I was never in doubt with that group. The girls have worked really hard over the past 12 months, and even just through the Olympic campaign the last 3 days. They've been awesome, and I know that their semi-final they're a little bit scratchy to start with, but I knew they'd come right. And then you're right there when you get a card, but sometimes it makes you work harder, and and then they obviously come along fine with having that experience out there. I think helped. At the end.
You know these players well. What did it mean to see them, victorious and getting their medals?
Yeah, it's pretty special when you know them, and you kind of get goosebumps, get emotional. I've shed a few tears for the likes of obviously Portia and Tyler, who are finishing up. The biggest one for me is Sarah Hiddeny. What an absolute story! What an inspiration! Coming back from ACL to become, win a gold medal, it's pretty special. And I mean, if you know her, you know that she's an absolute trooper. It's leadership and how she operates, and she's just such an epic human. So you just feel really proud of the whole group, as well as the young girls, the Georgia Millers and the Jasmine Felix Houghton that have stepped up and reached the Puri Lane throughout the year, and they're just one of the best teams in the world for sure.
What went well for the tournament overall?
I think they were just gelled. They just gelled together. They looked like they were just clicking, and they played really good sevens. Obviously in that final there, Canada turned up day two. As well, which was always good to kind of see a final like that. But I think the flow was just there. They looked like they were playing some good expansive footy, getting the ball into the right people's hands, and then all of a sudden, defensively, I thought there's some really good defensive efforts, and we know how important that is through rugby 15s and sevens.
I mean, looking at sevens, more widely, good to see those other teams coming through with the, obviously Australia had been dominant coming in, and there was an upset there. You've got these new talents with the US and Canada coming through.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. Aussie will be pretty gutted with their day three performance, obviously getting tipped over in semi and then coming fourth overall. I think, but it's awesome to see the likes of Canada, throughout the series, the World Series. Throughout the year, they kind of were there, but not quite, and then to come through to an Olympics and win a silver, I'd say they'd be pretty proud of that. And then just with the US as well, we know they've got some athletes within that team, and I think it's just really cool to see some other teams on the podium. But always good to see obviously the Kiwis up there too.
Yeah, have you been in touch with any of the players? Are you going to get in touch?
Yeah, I'll definitely get in touch and reach out to them for sure. They'll probably have a million messages, and I know if that was me, they'd be itching to be with family and have a few drinks and celebrate. So I'll probably give them a few days before reaching out to them. But yeah, just want to soak it up and be proud of and be a proud Kiwi.
And that was Kendra Coxedge talking to Ingrid Hipkiss on Morning Report this morning. Well, let's look ahead to tomorrow's action, and it's a case of will it happen or will it not with the triathlon. The E. coli levels still not looking terrific in the River Seine, but it is hoped. Apparently there's a 60% chance that the triathlon will go ahead this evening New Zealand time, 6 p.m. for the women's race and a little later for the men if it gets underway, but we will wait to see if that happens. Either way, we talked to the head of Triathlon New Zealand on Morning Report, Pete DeWitt.
This was, well, hugely disruptive, I imagine, to find out yesterday that the event had been postponed.
Yeah, it was rather, and we woke up expecting to be preparing to get athletes down to the start and had to change tack pretty quickly. So, yeah, rather disruptive and pretty disappointing, but I guess the ability to remain fluid in these environments is pretty important.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought that fluid, though, would you? Okay, but we're thinking a 60% chance of it happening tonight. Is that your understanding?
To be honest, I wouldn't even put it into a percentage. I guess we've just got to wait until we get the results of the testing, which come through at around 3:30 a.m. Paris time, which would be 1:30 p.m. in New Zealand. There's a meeting at that time, and then we normally get word about 40 minutes later. So we will be up at 4 a.m. waiting to get the news. So we're fingers crossed we're going to get both events underway. That's certainly what we're preparing for. So, yeah, we're hoping that that'll be the case.
So Hayden and Dylan are going to bed tonight, your time, and, well, they don't know if they're going to be racing. They'll get an early wake-up call to let them know if they needed to turn on the performance of their lives or not.
Yeah, and they're actually racing after the girls. So the girls are scheduled to start at 8 a.m. Paris time, 6 p.m. Kiwi time, and then the boys are scheduled to go at 10:45 Paris time, which is 8:45 Kiwi time. So both sets of athletes, both of women and the men, are going to be waiting patiently and really hoping that they can get out there and do their thing.
There is a chance it won't happen at all. So talk us through what would happen if that was the case.
Yeah, so if they postpone tomorrow, there is another reserve day, which is scheduled for Friday the 2nd. And again, there'd be that same meeting that happens at 3:30 a.m. We'd get word just after 4. And if it's all go, that's good. We'll have a triathlon. And if the water quality hasn't improved sufficiently, we'll then revert to a duathlon.
Which is a totally different event. How do you even start to get a race plan together approaching a different event to what you've been training for?
Yeah, I mean, these guys are pretty sharp. They're elite athletes. They're pretty resilient. They know exactly what they need to do. This isn't the first time that this will have happened to them. There have been other events in the last couple of years where water quality hasn't been sufficient and they've had to switch to a duathlon. So, they'll wake up on the morning. If it's a duathlon, they'll just change their plan. At the end of the day, they're planning for a triathlon. But they'll have done their homework as to if it is a duathlon, what does that look like? So, they're going to rock up on the morning hoping that it's a triathlon. But if it's a duathlon, they'll be well prepared to take it on.
I appreciate everyone at the moment will be focusing on that performance and trying not to be distracted by, all this going on. But will there be repercussions? Because we heard a lot about the concerns about the water quality in the River Seine coming up to this. Would there be any pushback on that?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I guess it's early to say, and we wouldn't really entertain that kind of conversation just yet. I think they're under a lot of pressure to try and deliver 2 events tomorrow. I certainly think that there will be questions asked once the Olympics have completed. We'd certainly be putting a question through to World Triathlon and to the International Olympic Committee around, the preparations for the Games and how this has happened. But I think that's certainly something that we'd consider in a couple of weeks' time. At the moment, we're just focused about keeping our athletes healthy and on the start line.
And that was Pete DeWitt talking to Morning Report about whether the triathlon will or will not happen. I don't know if I'd want to swim in the E. coli-ridden River Seine. It sounds a bit yucky to me, but, if it was for a gold medal, maybe, who knows. Let's stick with looking into the future here, because Finn Butcher is in the K1 Slalom finals coming up, and Leonard Powell on First Up. He managed to track down Finn's grandma, Val, who's been watching in all hours of the night. This is a lovely little interview. Enjoy the listen.
We're not having a party tonight because we didn't know whether he'd make the semi-finals for sure. and we'll probably have the party on the final night, on the finals, which I believe are Friday. I've just been watching it on my own, but I've been up, all night.
And did you get any sleep beforehand, or are you just too excited to see your grandson race?
No, I just stayed up. I had about maybe 1 hour right in the middle between both races. So, yeah.
Nice. And let's talk about Finn Butcher, your grandson. What's it like seeing him develop into an Olympic athlete? How cool is it to see him over there competing?
I can't believe it. I know that he's worked hard, and so have his parents, to get him there. He's so keen on being a paddler anyway. So it's kind of surreal to me to know that my grandson's in the Olympics, yes.
And not just in the Olympics, into the semi-finals. And I understand you've got some plans to have a party at your place. Would the party be a viewing party?
No, it's in the hall.
Awesome.
I don't think my place would stand the amount of backup he's getting.
And what sort of, maybe just paint the picture what this party might look like? Is there going to be snacks, drinks? What's going on there?
Well, we have a very nice hall, a beautiful hall. So for a small town, that's an achievement. But we're going to put it up on a big screen if we can. The boys are busy working that out now.
You've been in contact with Finn. Have you been talking to him over in Paris?
I've been in contact with his father.
Right.
That's overnight. I have been on and off, and both his uncles. So yes, it's been a family.
Do you think you're going to get any sleep after tonight, or are you too excited? You're just going to carry on into your day?
I'm overexcited and had an awful lot of coffee, so I'm not quite sure how much sleep I'm going to get. But I start work at 9 o'clock, so just for 3 hours.
And is that at the library? Oh, no, sorry, the post office, is it, Val?
The post, yes.
The race in itself, maybe for someone who hasn't caught it yet on the coverage, describe what it's like, because they are flying down that course, aren't they?
Oh, they are. And you're holding your breath, because actually it's not just for Finn. For the others, you feel the disappointment when they hit one of the slalom stakes and that, because you know they lose a lot of points and that. But it was absolutely amazing watching him do it. Yeah, it's quite a stroppy sort of a sport.
And have you become a bit of an expert in the sport now, Val, after watching it?
No. I'll just be a spectator, I think. I'm not too keen to do that. But, yeah, it's been wonderful watching it, yes. And it's been wonderful to watch it in comfort and not be over there.
And just lastly, Ophir. It was my first time hearing about Ophir when I read the beautiful story that was on our website about you and Finn. Tell me a little bit about Ophir for someone like me who doesn't know anything.
Okay, so it's an old gold mining town. Didn't have a lot of gold because the gold and the easily accessible gold, the gold miners moved on to the west coast. But it's got a lot of gold mining history. The post office is owned by Poheritonga Heritage, and we've only got a permanent population of 64.
Wow, that's pretty precise there, 64. So that's do you think how many of those 64 people from Ophir?
Well, we keep a count where we can. Every now and then somebody dies and the other person has a baby. So yeah, it does change over the years. Yes.
And how many of those 64 do you think will be along to watch the semi-final at the Hall?
Well, I don't know. I'll find out. Yeah, for somebody that's not actually doing the Olympics myself, Finn's doing all the hard work and I'm getting all the accolades.
How nice was that? Val Butcher, who is not getting much sleep at the moment as she gets up in the middle of the night to watch her grandson Finn compete in the K1 slalom. So very exciting for her, very exciting for the Butcher family. Hopefully Finn can do well in that final. And finally today, let's finish things off by looking at one of the newer sports, the speed climbing. Nathan Rarere caught up with Sarah Tetzlaff, who was competing over in Paris, and they also had a little chat about the River Seine because, hey, why not also bring up the athletes' degrees?
It's still not sinking in. It's just incredibly surreal. Yeah, I'm very excited, nervous, overwhelmed, all sorts, but yeah.
But that's beautiful to hear. So, I mean, but you would have been through a bunch of these moments, right? First, your name read, and then I guess the bag showing up with all the stuff in it. And then I guess the next one is what was it, getting on the flight or the sitting on the bed in the room in the village?
I think when I sat on my bed in the village, that was a little bit of a moment where I really took the time to go, wow, like I'm here. That's wild. I'm looking out the window and there's all these banners from like Belgium and Kazakhstan and USA, and they're just, there's all these athletes out there doing their thing, and I'm one of them, and I don't know how you're ever meant to truly comprehend that, to be honest, but yeah, it's really special, and I'm just trying to soak it in and tell myself that I belong.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, but you do, obviously, right, because you're here, and that's it. So tell me a little bit about the course that you're going up. Like, how familiar will you get to be by the time you get that first climb that we see on the TV?
I'm already incredibly familiar with it, so it's the same route that we do all around the world. It's the same route that we have at home, the same holds. Yeah, so we get to do 4 trainings on a practice wall, and one of them will be on our official wall that we'll be competing on. So by the time I compete, I might have run on that wall maybe 6 times.
Right.
So it should be really familiar and feel pretty normal, really.
Because I know sometimes, the swimmers will go, because their rectangle's always the same, but they're like, sometimes it feels like a slower pull or not. Like, is there grips that are in a certain, condition that make them feel certain ways for you? And like, how does the course speak to you on the way up for it when you look at it?
Yeah, so I definitely have some walls that I struggle on. So the one thing that can change a little bit is the texture of the wall. So when you're running up the wall, you're placing your feet kind of against it and pushing off it. So your feet aren't actually on any holds at all. It's just literally on the wall. Right. It has the same texture as sandpaper. So, and sometimes it's just a finer grit or a coarser grit. And a coarser grit is much grippier. So when it's fine, I find it really slippery, and if your feet are slipping, then you're losing momentum, or sometimes you'll come to a full stop. So walls like that, I have to try really, really hard to put it all together and get to the top. But I would say that's also one of my strengths, is that I'm able to adapt pretty quickly to the wall and what it's giving us. And it's going to be really hot in Paris, I think, when we compete, and that's good. Like for speed climbing, the warmer it is, the more you fire. So you'll feel quite elastic for this type of wall, I think.
I'm curious to what it's like backstage, because you're all trying to get it there quick as you can. I've seen backstage at the weightlifting how they kind of are. There's a bit of eyeing each other up. I don't know if too many people are talking. Then I see like the snowboarders. They're all best mates out on a trip together. What's it like for you guys when you're backstage and watching the progress of the scores?
It's weird to say, but it's never bothered me what other people are doing. Like, you're truly racing against yourself. There's nothing you can control about what other people are doing. And sometimes you could be 0.01 or 0.001 seconds off making the cut to finals. So there's nothing you can really do about that other than focus on yourself and try and get yourself into a really good space to put in your best shot. So most people stay in their own bubbles behind the wall. Most people have music on. They'll be jumping around, doing lots of kind of hand movements to mime moving up the wall. Lots of like slapping your body down and getting blood to the surface. So it's all pretty individual.
Well, look, all the best for this, and congratulations here on making it and being here and being an Olympian. I just wanted to ask you one other thing, slightly different here, with your environmental sciences hat on, because I know that you studied that as well. What's going on with the Seine?
I'd be pretty gutted if I was a triathlete, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I was reading it up on what they were trying to do to mitigate the water quality declining, but there's still sewage being pumped into the river, so I don't know how you could ever possibly
fix it
if that's still happening. So there's millions of people using the loo in the catchment. Like, it's not good.
So there you go. That is Sarah Tetzlaff talking to Nathan Rarere, an environmental sciences expert, which is why we got a little bit of expert comment on that E. coli level in the River Seine. You may as well. I mean, if you need some experts over in Paris, half the athletes will have degrees and they'll be paying their way to be athletes over there while also supplementing their day job, I suppose. And Sarah Tetzlaff obviously has plenty of expertise in that area. Hopefully she doesn't have to go swimming as part of the speed climbing. So let's now look ahead at what is happening overnight, and talking of that river, the River Seine, the triathlon. If it is indeed going to get underway, the women's race with Ainsley Thorpe and Nicole Vanderkay is at 6 p.m. The men's race with Hayden Wild and Dylan McCulloch would be at 8:45 p.m. We will eagerly await what happens there. I would say early this afternoon we will get an update on if it will happen or not. Yesterday at about 3:30 a.m. Paris time, they were making that decision. So that is about 1:30 p.m. here in New Zealand. So we'll get a very early call on whether the triathlon will go ahead. Elsewhere, we have the equestrian, the dressage Grand Prix Day 2 with Melissa Galloway taking place at 8 p.m. In the rowing, the men's coxless pair semi-final, Philip Wilson and Daniel Williamson at 8:34 p.m. In the swimming, the men's 200-metre backstroke heats, Kane follows from 9 p.m. In the sailing, the women's 49er FX races 10 to 12, Molly Meach and Joe Allais in Marseille at 10:15 p.m. And then after midnight, we'll stick with the sailing. The men's foil, Josh Armitt, he had a good win overnight. He is on at about 12:03 a.m. The men's 49er, Isaac McCarty and Will McKenzie, they've dropped down to third in the standings, but they're still going well. They're at 12:50. The women's foil with Veri Ten Hav is at 2:48. The equestrian continues at 12:52 with Melissa Galloway. In the swimming, the men's 200-metre backstroke semi-finals, should Kane Follows make it, will be at 7:34 a.m. And the football, the women's football team plays their third group match versus France, the hosts France, in Lyon at 7 a.m. So there you have it. That is all the action for overnight at the Olympic Games. Make sure you set your alarm so you can follow all the action that you want to follow. If we see a triathlon, hopefully we'll be coming back to you tomorrow with some more medal action. But been a great day for New Zealand. As I said earlier, New Zealand's women's sevens team, gold medal winners. They get the monkey off the back for New Zealand. We're underway, and hopefully the first of many, many medals for New Zealand. Make sure you follow and listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcast, Paris Essentials, and we will be back tomorrow. À demain. Au revoir.